Hey there folks, David here with another video. My apologies that I haven't seen you in a couple of days. I have been very much under the weather. I'm absolutely shattered. Not only that, but I suffer from eczema and it hit me fingertips quite badly. So crafting of any shape or form is out of the question at the moment. But because this was, well, a nice easy one, I thought that I would go back and revisit our good old flying cake stand, at least for one more try, and because it's minimal effort, because I really am not feeling all that well, I thought I would answer some viewers' questions that have come up in the comments section. Now, I will show the kind of comments on screen, but I am going to paraphrase them so that they're not necessarily attributable to a particular person, but you will at least get the general gist. Now, this is the first time that I have done one of these kind of videos, and the reason why I'm doing it is because essentially, while yes, I do love interacting with you guys in the comment section, there are some things where rather than typing out a whole essay, it's actually just easier to address it on camera, and then, more people can get to see it. So first off was this one. Now it's a double-barreled comment. Why are you interacting with bots in your comment section rather than discussing the big important topics that we're being lied to about? Okay, well, first part of that question, why am I interacting with bots? Any interaction on YouTube boosts you in the algorithm, so it's just a matter of course that, yeah, you as a creator, you do respond to comments. However, in this particular case, the person that I was responding to is somebody that I am actually aware of not being a bot. They are a fellow creator. They're more active in sort of like the flat earth and conspiracy community than I am, to the extent that I believe they're actually a moderator on a larger channel's message boards. Oh, and apart from anything else, if memory serves correctly, they are also in the same situation I am, whereby we are living south of the equator. So an awful lot of the things that we see and interact with in terms of seasons and what we see in the sky are going to be the same. The second part of the question, why am I not discussing important topics? Well, to be perfectly honest, important topics depends on who you are and what you're into. They did list out a couple. Watergate. It doesn't interest me. It happened, 50 years ago, in a different country. Their politics, not my organ, not my monkeys. Yeah, important to Americans, I guess, but I'm not an American and I don't live in America. Who assassinated JFK? I mean, that's even further back in time, before I was born, so it is historical. Is it interesting? Yeah, because there is all of this controversy around it. Is it something I'm going to lose sleep over? No. The bit about it that interests me, in terms of being a trivia question, is the fact that the TV coverage of the assassination and all of that stuff actually messed about with the transmission of the first ever episode of Doctor Who, because I'm a Doctor Who fan and that interests me. Flat Earth and how it is composed, yes, does interest me, because as I've said before, both sides keep bringing up this term model, and I make models and I've done videos on it. Other ones such as NASA hoaxing the moon landings and using studio sets and CGI and things like that, I have an awful lot of views on that. In fact, enough certainly to warrant another video. CGI, anybody who knows me knows that I know at least a fair amount about computers. And studio sets, you're starting to get into model making territory. So again, it's part of my interest. Is it the kind of thing that I could condense all the way down into a comment section on a video? No, it's not. It is the kind of thing where realistically it is worthy of a video in its own right. And bearing in mind that you've got the Artemis 2 mission coming up very shortly, maybe that's round about the time to be putting that kind of content out. Now, the next comment leads on to a little bit of experimentation that you can do yourself. So buckle up for this one. The comment went along the lines of, all measurements on Earth are done on a flat, level, plane, end of discussion. Essentially what they're saying is that you can't measure around a curve. It is all to do with the debate that surveyors over a distance, when they're building things, have to take into account the curvature of the Earth. And this person is saying, no, that is not the case. All measurements are done flat and level, and that's it. Full stop, end of story. Now, I know where this comment originated from. I don't necessarily believe this person was the actual poster in the comment section. I believe it is somebody who has picked up what they have said and are taking it as gospel because it maybe makes sense to them. I deliberately did not respond to this one because, one, it annoyed the living snot out of me, and it's partly because of the person that this information has come from. Just to bring those of you who are not that familiar with Flat Earth, because you're here more for the model making aspect, the gentleman that I am talking about is a gentleman by the name of Nathan Oakley. Now, he is one of the most outspoken people in the Flat Earth community. Very well spoken, comes across as very well educated. Certainly in his earlier posts, he was very polite, very well mannered, came across very well. Assertive, yes, but as time went on, I have heard that he sort of like adopted this more aggressive persona, and maybe he's not actually like that, but nowadays he just comes across as an angry, bitter troll, and that is putting it politely.
You do measure Earth flat. There's no exceptions to these facts, ever.
Now, one of the things that I have learned about myself as I have grown older is the fact that when it comes to behaviour like this, I become far less tolerant. And it is not, oh, this person is being so assertive, they must be right. It is, excuse me, young man, who exactly died and put you in charge? I certainly don't recall your name being on any form of ballot paper that I voted into power. Wind your neck in and treat people with a little bit more respect. Now, as for this particular assertion, this is where the experiment comes in. And I don't like getting into huge amounts of science or fancy maths and diagrams and things like that because people just turn off to it. Now, to be perfectly honest, this particular claim is so easy to blow out of the water it is untrue. It is a simple experiment that you yourself can do at home, and I would recommend that you do it because all you need is access to your own vehicle and a valid driver's license. Any driver knows that that comment is a huge pile of rot, and I'm going to show you how. Apologies for the sound quality here, it is a bit quite windy and hopefully my fluffy mic will sort that out, but this is my preferred mode of transport. It's a motorbike, and as you can see, the controls on it is, just all the standard stuff. Speed, round the edge, fuel, massively important, but this bit here, trip counter, that's what we're going to be talking about. So next time you go out for a drive, set your trip counter to 0. Go for a drive. I can't believe that this is so simple that nobody has actually cottoned onto it. I'm sorry. As soon as you're going out of your driveway is going to slope down to go to the road. That is no longer flat and level. You're going to turn out onto the road. That is a curve. As you are driving along the road, chances are you're going to be going through dips and bumps. You may go up slight hills and over the top and then curve back down the other side. The ground is not a flat and level plane. That's not the way nature works. Now, I am going to use a word here which really triggers Nathan. Perpendicular.
So don't use perpendicular. You don't have perpendicular on a globe.
Guess what, bunny lad? Other people are allowed to use the word perpendicular.
You don't get to use perpendicular.
Perpendicular, perpendicular, perpendicular.
Don't use our stuff, you stupid idiot.
Yeah, I'm a bit childish, I know. Now, most people, when you're talking about perpendicular, sort of think about a graph like this. And, that's flat. That up like that is 90 degrees. Now, I'm not saying that you should be trying to get your car to do a wheelie like that. But perpendicular simply means 90 degrees to another orientation. So if that is your car like that, that is also 90 degrees. And that's turny, side to side. You're going to go around corners when you're driving. You've already done that when you've pulled out of your driveway And chances are you'll go around a corner when you turn the end of the street, and there are going to be curves and bends in the road as you are travelling to wherever you are. And when you get to the destination, have a look at your trip counter. Has it measured the distance that you've travelled? I believe it has. And I can't fake it, I can't CGI it, because it's your car or your motorbike. It's just measured in 3 dimensions. Oh, and anybody turn around and saying, no, it's measuring on the flat, it's not the 3 dimension. Look, if you've gone up one of these, you've gone round 360 degrees just going up one floor, and it's vertical as well. That is 3 dimensions. It has measured your trip in 3 dimensions. Sorry, Nathan. Things can be measured on something other than a flat and level plane. Now, I did say that I didn't want to get into any kind of heavy maths with regard to this, but there is one thing that it is important to point out, that you can use this measuring device for which directly affects your pocket, and that is miles per gallon. Now, my other vehicle has a readout like this. Now, it's not miles per gallon, we use metric over here, it's kilometers per litre, even though for some reason when we're talking about miles per gallon we always say, oh, what kind of mileage do you get out of that vehicle? Throwback. Anyway, distance travelled compared to how much fuel you put into it, it is the fuel economy of your vehicle. And I can tell from doing that calculation on the motorbike and what it tells me on the big car, that when I'm going to work, it is actually more cost effective for me to use the motorbike. It's cheaper. So it has a practical purpose as well.
And that's all I have to say about that.
I can see that this is already starting to run a little bit long. So let us have one final set of comments. And I'm going to condense them down altogether. And this one has come up time and time again, all the way through me doing these kind of videos. The earth is flat and space is fake because there is a firmament over it because the Bible says so. Now, I am not going to get into discussing what my particular religious beliefs are, because they are mine and they're personal. And it's that simple. I've said that time and time again. However, what I can tell you is something that I don't believe. This is a copy of the Bible. What I don't believe is that this is the Word of God. What I believe is that this is a man-made copy. It's a man-made copy of a man-made copy of a man-made copy of something that goes back thousands of years to an original, but I don't know what that original was, because I wasn't there at the time, despite how old I look. The point that I'm trying to make is that people mess things up all of the time. Not only is this a copy, and any time anything is copied, there is the possibility that mistakes can be put into it, but it has been translated from at least 2 other languages, Latin and ancient Hebrew, and anybody who has, more than one language under their belt is going to be prone to making the odd translation mistake. Ask anybody who has English as a second language how difficult it is to get the meaning across. What I'm saying is that errors must have come into it. Therefore, it is not the original. The intent may be there. Word of God, no, I do not believe it. I think that it has been corrupted in some way by people. And there are a couple of things that I can use to back that argument up. First off, there is more than one version of the Bible. I think there's about, 15 authorized versions. Each and every one has different wording, different methods of translation, so they can't all be right. That just doesn't make sense. Apart from just errors, you've also got human prejudices coming into it. Take cats. Cats do not appear in the Bible at all. Why are cats excluded? Well, it is believed that it is because the ancient Egyptians venerated cats, had cat-headed gods, had idols of cats. They were holy creatures. And of course, go back to the Old Testament, Egypt enslaved the Jews, and it just wasn't a good time for everybody. Therefore, they weren't going to promote anything to do with Egypt because Egypt was the bad guy. Therefore, cats get the boot. And I mean, come on, they're gorgeous, fluffy little bundles of joy. You can tell that I'm a cat lover. But that is just one very minor way in which we can realistically see that human prejudice has gone into shaping this in some way, shape or form. All of that aside, when it comes to the makeup of the earth, again, depending on the version you're using, the firmament doesn't necessarily come into it. The firmament is only ever used in older versions of the Bible, like this one. This is a King James, so firmament is used in Old English text ones. The modern ones don't mention the firmament at all. So if those Bibles are correct, how can you be using a term which doesn't appear in the Bible to say that the earth is contained in something that doesn't appear in the Bible? Do you get what I'm trying to say? If you're using the Bible as your reference material for the shape of the earth, then I'm sorry, you're cherry picking. You're using confirmation bias and you're going for the older versions of the text. However, since I have it here, let us check to see what it says about the creation of the earth and how it was gone about. And as I'm going through, I will be honest with you, I will be cherry picking because it is the word firmament that I am going to be looking for in reference to that, to see whether or not that dome is there at all. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Okay, we've got water, that's good. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. Skipping forward a bit. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. All right, so we've got day-night cycle. That's good. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. Okay, so what we have is a sandwich. We've got water, water, and firmament. I'm happy with that. It seems a strange way of constructing things, but who am I to judge? I've seen far worse. And God called the firmament heaven. Okay, now that contradicts itself there, just saying, because he'd already created heaven back in verse 1. So have we got two heavens? Because this one does have a capital H in it. So maybe there is a difference. We'll see where we go with this. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. So we've got extra filling in a sandwich. We've got water, we've got firmament, we've got land and water, I think. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas, and God saw that it was good. Well, it mirrors exactly what we see now, so I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm skipping forward a bit here because I'm looking for the next bit, because there's all grass and things like that. Here's another reference to firmament. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also, and God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. Okay, sun, moon, stars, gotcha. Verse 20. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. Now, here we have a problem. Everyone keeps referring to firmament as this dome structure, but that's not what it says there. You've got birds flying in the firmament. Now, if the firmament is a solid object because it's enclosing everything, how can birds fly in it? It's solid. Birds don't fly in solid things. Birds fly in the air. We see that. So when they use the word firmament, is that all they're meaning? Firmament is actually air. So let me get this straight on our construction guide, and we are going from the Bible here. We've got waters below, which are the seas, good with that. Above that, we've got land, I'm good with that. Then we've got firmament, which appears to be air, because birds can fly in it, I'm good with that. And then you've got waters above, and we know that there's waters above because, well, we get rain and rain falls down through the firmament, the air, water's above, well, we know it's clouds. That sounds to me pretty much like the earth that I live on. I'm not saying it's wrong. It sounds very accurate. What I am saying is I'm not seeing any dome. And if you look up in the sky, yeah, you see the sun, you see the stars. They're up in the air. They're in the firmament. Yeah, that's the instructions that have just been described to me. Where are you getting the dome from? Now, don't get me wrong. That description fits, as I say, pretty much well in the natural world, and however many thousands of years ago that it was written, is it the kind of thing where someone could have looked around them and said, yeah, this is the way it appears to be. You've got seas, you've got ground, you've got air, and, well, on occasion we get rain, but we only get rain when there's clouds, but the clouds always appear up in the sky. Water's above. There's got to be some water up there. Yeah, it does make sense to me, but I'm still not seeing that dome. Sorry. So please, you've just seen me read out of a Bible where you guys appear to be getting this concept of a dome. Please, if you're going to be talking about how I should construct a flat earth model, don't use that as a reference, because from what I have read in there as a reference, it doesn't match what you're saying. I'm sorry. Unless there is a particular portion in there that I have missed, in which case, please feel free to give me book, chapter, verse in the comments, and I will look it up. It appears to be the same version of the Bible that everybody is using to make these claims from. I have the reference material here, and I am perfectly happy to do that reading. Anyway, I am getting into a massive sweat because, as I say, I am not in the best of health at the moment, so I am going to wrap it up there because this has taken it out of me. Excuse me. I will see you guys with something a little bit more crafting orientated in the very near future, once I'm feeling a little bit more up to it. And please, be good to each other in the comment section on this one, because chances are there are things that I have said that are going to trigger some people. Be good, stay well, stay safe, toodle pip for now.